40% of its so-called affordable homes in the wrong places. You can't make this up. And here's the truly shocking thing. They didn't base affordable on income.
It is every day here. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. Today we've got Mark Carney blaming the Conservatives for the failures of the Liberals. We also have the Liberals caught stealing Canadians' information, doing surveillance on millions of Canadians without us even knowing it. Let's jump into this. Check out this one here coming from CTV News. It says, Federal Privacy Watchdog says the RCMP lost a memory key containing personal information about victims, witnesses, and informants, and later learned that it was being offered for sale by criminals. Only in Canada would this happen? Did they happen to lose this while serendipitously stumbling on a sack of cash? How does the RCMP lose a USB? Blackmail? Every day it's a new embarrassing story in the headlines. What a joke this country is. Our country is an absolute joke. Got this one here from Blacklock's reporter. It says audit warns of serial law breaking by federal execs. Says managers may have breached Act of Parliament with sweetheart contracts for favored suppliers. In quotes, I have no reason to believe this is unique. Are we winning yet? Is this elbows up? Somehow I don't think this is a win. How many times has the Auditor General came out with the same message and nothing is done, like ever? Yeah, nothing ever happens. The Liberals always get away with crime, corruption, and fraud when really a bunch of them should be in jail. We got a breaking news coming from Rebel News. Says the Liberals have launched a weather app that surveilled Canadians. The federal government's WeatherCan app quietly collected personal data from over 715,000 Canadians. There's no low that these Liberals won't stoop to.
Canadians don't need a government weather app, and according to the government's own research, they didn't even want one, but the government made it anyway. We've got thousands of weather apps already. Accurate, fast, free, and pre-installed sometimes. The Weather Network, AccuWeather, MyRadar. People trust them, people use them, then they move on. But not Ottawa. Ottawa had to build its own app, WeatherCan. It was launched in 2019 by then Environment Minister Catherine McKenna, who breathlessly called it super cool. What she didn't mention, it was quietly scooping personal data from over 715,000 Canadians. It took your device model, the app version, your email address, and anything you typed into the feedback box, all just sucked up by the federal government. And to analyze that data, they handed nearly $200,000 of your money over to TELUS, not to build the app, just to dig through your information for things the government wanted to know about you.
This is absurd. The government is compromised. They're working against us. They're building weather apps just to steal our information.
The thing wasn't about forecasts. It was about surveillance. And if that sounds familiar, well, it should, because during COVID, just a year later, the same government secretly harvested cell phone location data from 33 million Canadians, tracking movement under the guise of public health. No warning, no consent, just mass digital surveillance.
The Public Health Agency of Canada confirmed media reports just before Christmas that it had secretly accessed location data for 33 million mobile devices to monitor the movement of Canadians during COVID-19. That number represents roughly 87% of the population who were spied on without any knowledge that the government was accessing their data. Public Health Agency of Canada officials were forced to admit this had occurred after a request for proposal was published with a call for interest in continuing a program of collecting data for up to 5 more years.
And now we find out their weather app was doing the same thing, just in miniature. No wonder Canadians wanted nothing to do with it. Internal polling.
Uninstall every app that the government has created. They can't be trusted at all.
First reported by Blacklock's, buried deep in an Environment Canada focus group report, shows most people use private apps instead. They wanted better features, more accuracy, and most of all, they don't want the government tracking them. Can you blame them? This wasn't a weather service. It was a Trojan horse. Taxpayer-funded.
That's exactly what it is. It's a Trojan horse. The government is out of control here. They serve us. We pay them to serve us, not to surveil us. Whoever's in charge of this, Catherine McKenna, whoever, needs to be put in jail.
Spyware project masquerading as a forecast tool, just like ArriveCAD, just like every other convenient federal tech project with a terms of service longer than the Constitution of this country. This is the future they've been building.
Let's be honest. If the government developed it, you know it's not going to work. Probably hurt you more than it helps anybody else. Carney's off to a good start here. How's he going to get away from this one? It's a new government. His government has nothing to do with this, except most of the cabinet is all the same.
Breaking news. Conservatives will force a vote here in the House of Commons to get Canadians their money back for the ArriveCan scandal. The Auditor General slammed the Liberal government for giving GC Strategies, the top Arrive scam contractor, $64 million in contracts since they took office. $64 million to a two-person IT company that did no IT work and is under RCMP investigation. Instead of empty words like, we accept the Auditor General's findings, how about the Prime Minister show some concrete action, vote for our motion, and get Canadians their money back?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this government is focused on best-in-class procurement. That is why we're put in place a new Department of Government Transformation. That is why we're putting in place a new Department of Defense Procurement to get taxpayer value for money, to build the strongest economy in the G7. That is how we get value for Canadians.
He almost said in the world. What's interesting too at the beginning of that, the Conservatives are heckling him and he's easily affected by it. He keeps stopping and not speaking. I think at some point here, Carney's going to snap.
Well, he's settling into old Liberal habits of not being bothered by wasting taxpayers' money and funneling it to his friends.
Right.
And Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister's trying to act like he's new to the job or he just got here. He was Justin Trudeau's senior economic advisor while these contracts were being handed out. And the Minister of Trade with the U.S., the Minister for Jobs, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs all have their fingerprints on this scandal, and he chose them to sit around his cabinet table. Why is it every time Liberals get caught in a corruption scandal, Liberal politicians get rewarded and taxpayers get the bill?
Mr. Speaker, as I just said, this government is laser focused on best-in-class procurement. That is why we have a new Minister of Government Transformation. That is why we have a brave deputy who fought for this country, who flew fighter jets, who is the new Secretary of State for Defense Procurement. We're going to get best value for Canadians' dollars. We're going to grow this economy. Come join us.
That's so weak. It's such a thespian performance he's putting on there. He's desperately trying to distance himself from Justin Trudeau's record. The thing is, a lot of Liberals that voted for all that stuff are sitting behind Mark Carney. He can't get away from this.
The General confirm what we've been saying about the fraudsters behind the Arrive Scam app and the failure of this Liberal government to protect taxpayers. GC Strategies was an IT firm that didn't do IT, didn't follow procurement rules, didn't provide value for money, didn't have valid security clearances. What they do have is 64 million ill-gotten tax dollars in the bank, and this Liberal government let it all happen. When so many Canadians are struggling to make ends meet, why is this government making no effort to get those wasted tax dollars back?
I'm feeling that. I'm feeling the passion from that guy. When it comes down to it, if we had rules in place, if corruption is found to have been had, like in this situation, if it falls on the Prime Minister to go to jail for it, you wouldn't see corruption like this. Maybe we should be putting in those rules. Maybe Justin Trudeau should be going to jail for the next 10 years. Maybe we should be fining politicians who don't answer questions. $1,000 a pop. Don't answer a question, $1,000, $1,000. Just rack that up, take it off their salary.
Mr. Speaker, I think it's important to follow details, including important details such as there was just an election. Canada's new government was elected to focus on getting best value for Canadian taxpayer dollars and building the strongest economy in the G7. That's exactly what we're doing. We're focused on
It's so funny. He says new government. Meanwhile, you've got McKinnon and Nand. You got all these people sitting around him who were in the last government.
They're not holding GC Strategies accountable. They're letting them keep the cash. The Auditor General confirmed that current Liberal ministers failed Canadians in this matter. They failed to protect tax dollars. They failed to check the qualifications of those doing the work. In half the contracts, they failed to even verify that work was done. Unbelievably, the Trudeau ministers responsible for Arrive Scam got promoted and have now been put in charge of critical Canada-US foreign affairs and jobs files. Why did the Prime Minister reward these failed Trudeau Liberals instead of holding them accountable for their incompetence?
Mr. Speaker, This government, Canada's new government, is focused on best value for taxpayers' dollars.
This new government, he just wants to keep saying it. That's not going to work, Carney.
We are running a process to review our programs. We are running a process to focus on results for Canadians, not dollars in. We are running a process to integrate technology. We are running a process to get best value for the largest increase in defense spending in precedent, making up for the failures of the members opposite.
Oh, wow. Blaming the Conservatives for you guys stealing our tax dollars, letting this rampant theft happen. Unbelievable. You know, if he really wanted to show people that he is a new government and wants to do right by the people, put somebody in jail. Fire your ministers, get the money back. They're not going to do that, though. They won't. They don't care because they're a part of this. They've been ripping us off for years, and Canadians are just too blind to see what's going on. 43% of Canadians like being robbed by our government. Moving ahead, we've got Mario with this one. It says, a little RCMP birdie may or may not have told me about a law that they use to press charges against those who misrepresent, lie, or deceive the government in order to come into the country. He's talking about foreign students who lie to come in.
So I may or may not have heard from a little RCMP birdie that there's a law that exists that people don't know about, that if you lie when you come into the country and you're at the border, you could be charged. And yes, it applies to immigrants and refugees. And it's called Section 126, Counseling Misrepresentation. Every person who knowingly counsels, induces, aids, or abets, or attempts to counsel, induce, aid, or abet any person to directly or indirectly misrepresent or withhold material facts relating to a relevant matter that induces or could induce an error in the administration of this act is guilty of an offense. I'm not saying anything, but I'm just saying that I know of 50,000 people who told us they came into the country to be students, but they didn't show up on their first day of school. Also know some of these people had no intention of ever showing up to school and actually own businesses as they bought franchises. The only way for them to do that was to lie. Then there's also Section 127 called Misrepresentation, and it virtually says the exact same thing, but it adds a section where any means false or misleading information or declarations with intent to induce or deter immigration to Canada, or if a person refuses to be sworn or affirm or declare or to answer a question put to that person at an examination or at a proceeding held under this act, guilty. Misrepresentation. And guess what? There's consequences. And there's a fine of not more than 100 grand and jail time for up to 5 years. So to all the scammers, take this as your fair warning. The CBSA, the RCMP, I know that they've charged people for these offenses. You're going to want to think twice. There's laws to protect against BS that gets spewed to our government and to our country when we know what you're doing is ultimately lying in order to get into our country by any means necessary.
Lock these people up, put them in jail where they have to work every single day, 10 hours a day. After their sentence is served, deport. Start cleaning up our country. Laws don't mean anything if they're not enforced. Unfortunately, we don't see them enforced in the government. The government's caught lying and stealing, handing out $64 million to a middleman company that offered no value to Canadians. They get away with it. The Liberals keep allowing people to get away with stealing tax dollars. The Liberals keep allowing people to just come into our country unvetted, lying coming in. They've got no plan to deport all these people, charge them and deport. You got to listen to this. So we got Conservative breaking down that the Liberals are not using income level in the factors of what makes an affordable house.
According to yesterday's AG report, this government built nearly 40% of its so-called affordable homes in the wrong places. You can't make this up. And here's the truly shocking thing. They didn't base affordable on income, not on what people actually earn. Instead, they used current market rent. In the middle of a housing crisis. That means low-income families, seniors, and newcomers can't even afford the homes that were supposed to help them. After 10 years of failure, will the minister admit that this plan has completely failed the people who need it most?
It's appalling. They built the houses in the wrong spots. They're using these high rates to determine what is affordable. Really, if they want to know what affordable housing is, they can just go back to when Stephen Harper was in power and Pierre Poilievre was the housing minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I'll caution the member opposite. There are no wrong places to build housing in Canada.
Whoa, good point.
Get Chrystia Freeland away from the microphone. She's a disaster. Does she not realize that she comes through stronger than Gregor Robertson? She's closer to that mic down there.
We are focused on building housing across this country. We are focused on building affordable housing across this country. The reason there are new ministers here, like myself, is for our new plan to deliver affordable housing all across Canada and communities that need it.
Excellent answer.
She's so phony baloney with that stuff. Oh, excellent answer. Next up, we've got this one here, hopefully coming from the House of Commons. I won't get in trouble for putting this on the channel, but everyone needs to know this.
Mr. Speaker, Peel Region had the single largest drug bust in their history yesterday, with 1,000 pounds of cocaine worth $47 million. This would be a cause for celebration if 6 out of the 9 that were arrested are not already out on bail. Amen. Liberal laws like the Bills C5 and C75 are the root cause of this madness. These liberal laws put repeat criminals back into our communities. Mr. Speaker, will the Liberals reverse their soft on crime policies to keep criminals behind bars?
6 out of the 9 guys involved in that bust are already out on bail. They get caught with the largest amount of Cocoa White Bam Bam, and they're not in jail. Our country is run by complete buffoons. Why did people vote for this? I can't understand why people want this to happen. Eventually, these criminals will make their way over to those neighborhoods where the Laurentian elites live that voted for the Liberals, and then they won't be safe from them either. I think that is what it's going to take for people to stop voting Liberals. They need to have someone kicking in their door. They need to have someone stealing their SUV from their front driveway or from their garage. Because having the largest bust in history and 6 of the guys are already out, like, come on. They should be in jail for the next 25 years doing hard manual labor to pay back to our society.
Mr. Speaker, once again, I think it's important to recognize the incredible collaboration of the Peel Regional Police, as well as other police services in having one of the greatest drug busts in Canadian history. Their work will continue. It will continue with the support of the federal government, with our agencies who are working in tandem to ensure that drugs are off our streets.
Yeah, the people aren't off the streets. You guys let the guys back out on the streets. They should be in jail for 25 years. They should not have freedom again for 25 years. But that's how they want this. They want this crime and chaos in our country. That's why they're allowing this. Because anyone with a right mind wouldn't allow these kind of criminals to be back on the street.